This section of the handling training will look at setting up and using collection materials at your workspace. As mentioned in other sections of this handling training, make sure you have a clear surface to work on when you're setting up collection materials. Keep any supports and materials you might need close by, rather than straining to reach for them when they are needed. After you are done with your items, check the workspace to make sure no loose parts have broken off or been left behind. If the item doesn't have an enclosure to put the loose part in, placing the detached part in an envelope and securing it to the item with some twill tape will ensure the two stay together. It's also a good idea to write down the column number or catalog key on the envelope. It's best to always keep collection material on the work surface rather than holding something up for closer examination, which can damage the item. Gravity can cause strain on parts of the item you're holding. Single sheets can get creased easily from finger pressure, and weaker areas get torn or fall off. If you're working with stacks of loose materials and the stack gets a bit disheveled, gently rearrange it with your hands rather than jogging the stack up against a hard surface. Protruding paper that's more fragile or brittle can get dented or torn from that action. If you want to examine something with backlighting, like a watermark or chain lines in paper, using a light sheet will be safer and give better illumination than holding up a page to see the light through it. Light sheets are available in the Special Collections Reading Room. Here are some types of supports available in the Special Collections Reading Room that you may find helpful in setting up collection materials. We never want to open books further than they want to be opened. Stop before you feel resistance, since that strain can cause something to break. Foam supports are available to keep the book opened at an angle it wants to be at. Special Collections is also currently in the process of getting some book cushions. Another support you may need are weights, which help to hold items down. Consider whether the item is too fragile or brittle before using weights with it. For instance, very brittle pages in a book can break if forced to flex and sit flat using weights. With fragile or larger sized flat items, using stiffer support material like matte board or corrugated board to move or turn items over can reduce creasing or tearing. Depending on how large or fragile your item is, when you're taking a folder out, you may need to slide a support board underneath to prevent the folder from sagging. Sometimes the item you need is in the middle of a pile. If you need to move flat items, it's best to pick them up by diagonal opposite corners with the flat side of your fingers, making sure you're not gripping the paper hard enough to create creases or dents. If it's too fragile or large, you can also slide a support board underneath to carry it. Sandwiching the item between two support boards protects the item during the turning. Take the support board off slowly to make sure it doesn't create a suction, which can cause the sandwich item to fly out. The larger the item, the more space you will need for handling, as you can see from taking this item out of its folder and turning it over. If you're working with a smaller item, like this piece of brittle paper, you can also turn it over supported by its folder. Since there's a wide range of openability between different books, multiple foam supports can be positioned to support how your book wants to open. The setup on the left with a pair of supports is commonly used so the book can open at a smaller angle than when it's laying on a flat surface. More foam supports can be added to reduce the V-shape opening angle if necessary. Snake weights, which are long and thin, can be draped over the corners or along the foredge of a page to gently hold it down. The setup on the right stacks two supports with one side of the book laying flat on the table and may better accommodate how a different book wants to open. Sometimes, more complicated setups may be necessary, especially for books that open to 90 degrees or less, or for books with foldouts. In this setup, the foam supports form a rectangular block for the book to rest against. Weights have been placed on the other side of the foam to make sure it doesn't give way to the weight of the book. A snake weight is used to keep one side of the book upright. Since we will be working with foldouts, it's also good to keep some flat foam on the side in case it's needed. If you're having difficulties opening a folded item, avoid forcing it to open further. In this example, a tear near the fold is catching during opening, and forcing it to open can worsen the tear. Ask for help from Special Collections Public Services staff who can flag it for conservation if necessary. One thing that's interesting about this book is that the foldouts are incorporated into the book in different directions. In the first example, the text was on the left side and the foldout on the right. The next foldout is on the left side, so we'll need to change the orientation of the setup, opening the book on the other side of the foam. Here, flat foam has been placed under the foldout and a snake weight is used to keep the foldout flat. Notice that I've marked the pages I want to refer back to with strips of non-acidic paper. Weights are also good for holding down rolled items as you unroll them. Prepare some weights on the other side of the item so you can reach them more easily. You'll want to distribute the weights evenly as you unroll the item to avoid the paper catching and tearing against the side of the weights. After use, re-roll the item while removing the weight slowly and gradually so that the item doesn't spring back into itself. Pick up the weights rather than sliding them off the item. Ask for an extra hand as this can be tricky to do alone.